From a young age, I was chosen to be the son-in-law of the Jiang family. At 22 years old, I married Jiang Yue, who suffers from autism. For 5 years after our marriage, she always hated me, refused to accept my touch, let alone share a bed with me. Later, she met a boy. Before him, she restrained all her temper, clumsily acted obedient, wrote songs for him, gave him gifts, and even allowed him unrestricted access to her study, a place she had never permitted me to enter. I knew then that Jiang Yue had someone she truly liked, and I no longer wished to take care of her. So, I approached Elder Jiang and told him I wanted a divorce. Before meeting Jiang Yue, my life had been far from easy. My mother was obsessed with appearances. She fell head over heels for my father's looks, rushed into bed with him without proper investigation, and had me. Only after my birth did she discover that my father came from a wealthy family, one where a mere flick of his wrist could ensure her lifelong comfort. But the bad news was this: my father was a pheasant man, a man who marries into a richer family, relying on his wife to climb into high society. And my mother? She was his mistress. When the wife caught them in the act, things collapsed. Despite acting dominant around my mother, my father crumbled like a beaten dog before his wife. He immediately cut off all ties with my mother, and with me too. My mother raised me alone, enduring hardship, peddling tricycles, running street stalls, chased by city inspectors for dozens of kilometers, until she lost a shoe. Exhausted, she decided to secure a better future for me. I don't know how she did it, but somehow. She produced a paternity test linking me to my father. She stormed his gates, demanding he support me. Fearful of scandal, the elites complied. That day at the Gu family's door was the last time I saw her alive. She had terminal cancer, couldn't afford treatment, and after giving me to my father, she jumped into the river. Entering the Gu household as a foster son, I lived cautiously. At 17, I encountered a girl in their garden, her arm bleeding from rose thorns. Yet she seemed oblivious, headphones glued to her ears. I fetched iodine to clean her wound and covered it with a band-aid. Later, I learned her name was Jiang Yue. Her grandfather had brought her to visit the Gu family, and somehow, Elder Jiang took an interest in me, proposing I become his grandson-in-law. The Gu family readily agreed. My half-brothers mocked. "Think you've struck gold? If it's such a great match, why would you get it?" They warned me about Jiang Yue's autism and bipolar disorder, calling her not normal. Still, thanks to the engagement, Lady Gu finally showed me slight kindness. Life improved marginally. At least they stopped bullying me. I often recalled our first meeting. That girl listening to music in the garden, unknowingly saving me in ways she couldn't fathom. Grateful, I studied her condition, learning how to interact. When we married at 22 under familial arrangements, I naively hoped for connection. Instead, resentment greeted me. On our wedding night, she screamed, "Get out! Leave my room!" Humiliated, I hung my head. Elder Jiang later explained her isolation. Her longtime caregiver had just died, plunging her into crisis, and begged patience. I agreed, shouldering her care, shuttling between school and home, reminding her meds, scheduling doctor visits, planning meals and outfits. Slowly, tiny shifts occurred. She stopped ordering me away, once even covering me with a blanket when I dozed off on the couch, occasionally leaning on me when sad, but intimacy remained absent. With Jiang Yue being the sole heir of their generational lineage, Elder Jiang desperately awaited grandchildren, pressuring us repeatedly. Yet without her consent, there was nothing I could do. By the 5th year, his patience snapped. Without my knowledge, the old master sent Jiang Yue to my room, drugged us both, and locked the door from the outside. That night is seared into my memory. Under the drug's haze, her pupils were glassy. Her arms locked around my neck and would not let go. I still clung to the last thread of reason and tried to push her away. Gasping for air, she sobbed, tore at her clothes, begged me again and again. "It hurts. Help me. I can't take it." I fought to stay lucid, shattered a vase, pressed the shards into my wrist, hoping the pain would clear my head, but old Master Jiang's potion was too strong. Even the sting of blood could not break its hold. At last, when her trembling hands pulled open my shirt, I drew her close and answered her plea. In a haze that stole our breath, we sank together, lost to each other until the first light of dawn. The following day at noon, I was awakened by the clamor of shattering objects. Jiang Yue was in a furious temper. She smashed my phone, destroyed the wall-mounted color TV, and sent chairs and tables crashing to the floor. When she saw me stir awake, she strode over, holding a mirror that reflected my disheveled state. Messy strands of hair, scratch marks on my neck, pointing at my reflection. Her eyes filled with undisguised contempt. She spat, "You forced me. Disgusting. I hate you. Never want to see you again." With that, she turned and fled. After dressing hurriedly, I chased after her, but by the time I reached outside, she had vanished. From noon till dawn, I searched frantically every place she frequented, yet found no trace of her. Exhausted, leaning against our front door gasping for breath, I felt despair settling in. At 1 a.m., Zhang Yue finally returned, with a boy beside her. He wore a refreshing smile dimpled with charm. Leaning toward her, he murmured, "First time meeting someone so kindred in spirit. Meeting you is this concert's greatest gift." Only then did I realize she'd gone alone to the recital, her phone dead. Lost on unfamiliar streets, he brought her home. Zhang Yue dragged her feet deliberately, stretching their short walk into an eternity. They chattered endlessly about music composers and performers unknown to me. She'd loved music since childhood, trained under maestros, run a post-graduation studio composing famed pieces. Standing frozen at the doorway, I listened as their conversation stretched 30 minutes without her noticing me. Finally, our butler interjected softly, "Miss, it's late. Rest now. Your husband's been waiting." The boy glanced over, startled. "Your husband?" Zhang Yue's face twisted with discomfiture. She nodded curtly, then added bitterly, "Ranged. Don't like him. Hate him." My shame flared hotter than ever. I stood rooted, humiliation burning through me. His name was Lu Chang. Patting her arm, his eyes crinkling warmly. Late indeed. Next time, from that day, our relationship plummeted to icy depths. She wouldn't speak to me. On her birthday, I gifted limited edition over-ear headphones, legendary acoustics, sold out repeatedly, reserved half a year prior. She grabbed a lighter, right before my eyes. She torched them until they blackened and fractured. "Don't like you. Don't like your gifts. Trash. Burn it." That night, she celebrated with Lu Chang. Since their first meeting, they'd stayed in touch. Returning late, a silver ring glinted on her finger, his birthday gift. Staring at the charred wreckage of the headphones, weariness seeped into my bones. Next morning, Elder Zhang called abruptly, summoning me to his study. He wanted files handed to his secretary urgently, but Zhang Yue had always forbidden me entry. Hesitant, pressured by his insistence, secretaries waiting, I retrieved the documents, leaving everything pristine afterward. Still, she discovered it via studio surveillance linked to her phone. Fury propelled her home. Storm clouds darkened her brow. "No, you had no right." Her fury whipped through the room like a violent gale. Over this, a simple file retrieval, she ordered a deep cleansing of the entire study. Bewildered, I asked quietly, "Why can't I enter? Lu Chang spends whole days discussing music here with you. Why him, not me? And why cleanse? Am I dirty?" Her expression hardened further. "He's different, a true connoisseur. You defile it." Years of such clip pronouncements conditioned me to immediate appeasement. But today, exhaustion won. Even knowing her volcanic mood, I couldn't force soothing words. Closing my eyes tightly, I whispered, "Zhang Yue, speaking like that hurts deeply." Lightheadedness struck low blood sugar, my legs buckled backward. Tragically, I stood at the study threshold. One stumble, my foot crossed the line. She interpreted it as defiance. Her gaze turned savage, tendons taut in her neck. Vicious words poured forth, distilling into 3 shards. "Get out. This is my house, not yours. Vanish." These weren't new insults. Back in Gu Manor, my half-brothers had hissed similar venom. Back then, I'd buried myself beneath quilts, vowing, someday, a home truly mine, unshakable. Marriage promised that sanctuary with Zhang Yue. Today, her shrieked truth shattered it. Property deed in her name, wealth her family as this mansion wasn't mine. Her final command echoed, "Leave." Overwhelmed, drowning in helplessness, I mentally tallied years. 17 meeting her. 10 years passed. Age 17 to 22. 5 sheltered years sealed by our engagement. 22 to now. 5 years devotion as her husband. Debt repaid. Soul weary beyond measure. One thought took root. Explosive as sprouting seed. Divorce. A week later, I faced Elder Zhang. "I want a divorce," I stated flatly. Old Master Zhang sat on the sofa in the old residence, curling his index finger and tapping it lightly on the tabletop. "Why?" I told him that Zhang Yue had someone she liked. She would moderate her temper before him, clumsily act obedient, write songs for him, give him gifts, stubbornly trying to make him happy. With Lu Chang around, Zhang Yue's mood improved significantly too. Objectively or subjectively, he was far more suitable for Zhang Yue than I was. After hearing this, old Master Zhang remained silent. Only after a long while did he clear his throat softly, looking at me seriously. Jincheng, do you know why I chose you as my grandson-in-law initially? I asked him. Because I gave Zhang Yue a band-aid? He shook his head. No, he continued, I investigated you. I knew your nature was pure and kind, and also understood your awkward position. You weren't well treated in the Gu family. You needed this marriage contract. With it, courtesy of the Zhang family's influence, your life would be much easier. And precisely because of that, you would regard Zhang Yue as your lifeline, grateful to her, tolerant of her, even indulgent toward her. When I learned you chose psychology as your major in university, I knew I hadn't misjudged you. Indeed, he sighed. A child like Zhang Yue, born into such circumstances, if she weren't ill, she'd naturally be highly sought after. But she has this condition. She's my only granddaughter. Naturally, I must plan carefully for her, finding her an absolutely loyal husband to care for her for life. As for this Lu Chang you mentioned, I don't know what kind of person he is. I can't entrust Zhang Yue to him. Here, he looked straight at me, speaking frankly. Jin Cheng, you grew up in the Gu household. You understand what high society families are really like. It's nothing unusual for them to have 10 lovers outside, even more. In contrast, Zhang Yue is genuinely simple-hearted. She's rare. Besides, as long as I'm alive, no one can shake your position in this family. What more could you possibly want? I understood his implication, but I didn't want it anymore. I didn't want to spend my life guarding an autistic patient, living a predictable existence. Grandfather, I said earnestly, Zhang Yue has driven me away. My very presence now only annoys her. Her episodes have been happening more frequently lately. Upon hearing this, old Master Zhang's expression finally grew grave. He began reconsidering my relationship with Zhang Yue seriously. After a long silence, he finally relented slightly. Jin Cheng, regarding the divorce, let me think further. Go back for now. Also, remember she is still your wife. This matter requires her consent too. I nodded, stood up, and prepared to leave. Of course Zhang Yue would agree. She'd probably jump at the chance to sign those papers. It was drizzling spring rain outside, wind whipping hard. As I exited the old residence, I saw her. She stood beside the partially open door, wearing a white dress, holding an umbrella whose tip had collected a large puddle of rainwater. Who knew how long she'd been standing there? How much had she overheard? The moment she saw me, her lips pressed tightly together, her face turning pale. You want a divorce from me? After my confirmation, Zhang Yue fell silent for a moment, seemingly deep in thought. Then she asked quietly, after, will you still take care of me? I paused, almost laughing bitterly. Zhang Yue, divorce means we become strangers. I won't be your husband anymore. I won't have any obligation to care for you. She seemed to absorb this. I see. The rain intensified suddenly, slanting sheets soaking half her shoulder. Looking directly at me, her expression earnest, she shook her head firmly. No, not leaving. Honestly, I hadn't expected her refusal. Why? I pressed. If we divorce, no one will take care of me. Confusion flickered. Didn't she like Lu Chang? Can't he look after you? Your daily needs? But she just kept shaking her head stubbornly. He's busy, creates things, can't stay home all the time. You're free. You can take care of me. My gaze dropped to the puddles collecting on the ground. A profound chill settled within me. She believed Lu Chang had his own pursuits, wouldn't tie him down at home, while I, this dull, uninteresting person in her eyes, was born to orbit around her. Zhang Yue, I tried reasoning. If you need someone to care for you, hire a professional caregiver. Before I came, wasn't Aunt Zhang taking good care of you? Still, she refused adamantly, insisting I must do it. During our argument, her fists clenched tight, deep crescent marks appearing in her palms, a warning sign of an impending episode. Unwilling to escalate further, I turned and walked home. She followed closely behind, repeating no divorce over and over. When I refused to agree, she dug her nails into her own hands until they bled. The Zhang family was wealthy. Hiring dozens of nurses wouldn't strain them. Why this obsession with me? Finally, after hesitating nervously, she whispered two words. Habit. Habit slowly formed. I reminded her gently, when I first started taking care of you, weren't you unhappy? Everything takes adjustment. Give it time. You'll adapt. Her stubbornness reveled a mule's. Seeing my refusal, she resorted to shouting, no, stay married. You have to do do as I say. Knowing persuasion was futile at this point, I simply stopped talking. Mistaking my silence for agreement, the tension slowly eased from her brow. Just then, spotting Lu Chong near the entrance, her eyes instantly lit up. Thoughts of divorce vanished instantly. She practically dragged him into the study, deliberately locking the door behind them as if afraid someone might interrupt. Soon, lively piano music mingled with Lu Chong's cheerful laughter drifted out, full of vibrant energy. When Lu Chong emerged around 10 o'clock that night, heavy rain pounding down outside, Zhang Yue glanced worriedly at the downpour and called out, "It's pouring. You'll catch cold going out. Stay here tonight." Lu Chong grinned at her. "Silly goose, D.I.D.N.T. bring pajamas. How can I stay?" Zhang Yue pointed at me decisively. "He has some." Then she turned expectantly to me. "Right? You will let him borrow clothes and stay?" Before I could even respond, she answered for me, "He will." Lu Chong chuckled, dimples appearing beside his smile. "How can you answer for someone else?" Zhang Yue pointed at the villa. "This is my home, not his." Then she pointed to the walk-in closet. "The clothes, bought with our family's money." At that, Lu Chong turned to me with a smirk, saying, "I make the rules here. Mr. Gu, mind if I stay tonight? Won't disturb your marital activities, will it?" Upon hearing this, Zhang Yue reacted even more strongly than I did. She frantically waved her hands and explained in a panic, "No, there's nothing like that between us." Disgusting. I listened quietly, head bowed, idly scrolling through my phone. Zhang Yue was right. This wasn't my home. I decided to move out. Finding a suitable apartment wasn't easy. During my time at the Gu household, I had no allowance. I'd asked the steward for necessities, and reasonable requests were usually granted. After coming to the Zhang family, old Master Zhang gave me 5,000 yuan monthly for living expenses. It sounded generous, but it covered Zhang Yue's medical bills, therapy sessions, nutritious meals, and all staff salaries and household costs for the entire villa. Careful budgeting left me with only a few thousand each month. My savings weren't substantial. After 2 days of searching, I found an affordable apartment. While packing, Zhang Yue happened to come home. Since I'd mentioned divorce last time, her attitude toward me had softened slightly. Very occasionally, she'd initiate conversation like now. She asked, "Packing these, to throw them away?" I shook my head. "No," pointing at a stack of my clothes, she declared, "Trash. Ugly. You have zero sense of style or coordination. These are hideous." I paused my folding and looked at her. "So what qualifies as good?" After serious consideration, she replied, "Like Lu Chong, learn from him. I've got money, I'll buy you new ones." My gaze fell on the striped shirt topped the pile. A jolt ran through me. That very shirt she'd handpicked it herself a year ago during a shopping trip. I remembered vividly. When I emerged from the fitting room, she'd stammered repeatedly, eyes wide, "Beautiful, beautiful." Yet now, staring at the same garment, she called it tacky and outdated. Had the clothes changed? Or the person? Lowering my lashes, I resumed packing. Unnecessary. I prefer my own style. Annoyance flickered in Zhang Yue's eyes. With a sharp fine, "Suit yourself," she slammed the door behind her so loudly my eardrums throbbed. That night, she didn't emerge from her room again. Unaware, she never knew I left the villa. When I'd first arrived at the Zhang residence, I'd carried only a 24-inch suitcase and a blue backpack. Leaving, I took nothing more. Zhang Yue spoke truly. This place wasn't mine. My belongings were pitifully few. I stayed one night in the apartment before setting off for Spring City. Childhood memories surfaced. My mother always promised, "Life gets better day by day. Once I save enough, we'll travel." After she passed, I comforted myself with the same mantra, "Save enough. See the world alone." But life rarely delivers smooth paths. Merely exchanging one gilded cage for another, Zhang Yue couldn't manage without constant supervision. Long trips were impossible. I tried taking her along once. Years confined to this city made her utterly disoriented. On the high-speed rail, she grew severely anxious, unable to eat, trembling uncontrollably. Forced to disembark at the next stop, we returned home defeated. The thrill of planning had crumbled into crushing disappointment at that station platform. Turns out, saving money isn't enough for freedom when chains bind you. Yet here I stood, finally, at Kangshan Mountain's foot. Wind ruffled Erhai Lake's surface and sculpted drifting clouds. Pedaling slowly along country lanes with music playing, I passed wheat fields, open plains, shimmering reflections on water, and mist-wreathed peaks cradling floating clouds. Every rigid routine dissolved into Erhai's gentle lapping, my life suddenly fluid, unburdened. I became someone gloriously useless, yet vibrantly alive. Many souls worn thin men gathered here, setting up makeshift stalls. Under starlit skies, we shared stories raw and real. A medical student who quit her stifling residency, whispering, "Here, days aren't fractured into holiday scraps." A patient seeking healing sighed, "Who knows tomorrow?" But right now, I feel myself growing. We touch fleetingly, bearing tender secrets, then float apart like Kangshan's 18 streams, each carving its own winding course. Later, alone at Longquan Dock, I watched dawn break over Erhai. Sunlight shattered into dancing coins across the waves. Back at the Gu Mansion, struggling to survive, no tears, facing Zhang Yue's venomous words, ordered out still dry eyes. But here, palms pressed against wet cheeks, shoulders shaking violently. Never had freedom tasted so profound. No blaring alarm clocks, no endless checklist reminders cramming my notebook, answering only distant mountains call, free to simply be, lost in thought all day long. 2 weeks later, I reinserted my SIM card. Messages flooded in. Dad, Old Master Zhang, even Zhang Yue. Sitting on the return bus, I called Old Master Zhang first. His voice rasped with exhaustion. "Come back quickly. Jin Chung." He paused heavily. "Zhang Yue, she's unraveling." Against my better judgment, I returned to the Zhang residence. They told me chaos had erupted after my departure. Zhang Yue flew into rages, unable to function alone. Medication bottles sat untouched. She didn't know dosages anymore. Always before, I prepared her pills beside a glass of water. For an important press conference, she couldn't find the skirt matching her suit, used to rely on me for styling. Frantic attempts to reach me failed. Enrage consumed her. Shattered dishes, overturned air conditioner, flipped coffee tables, complete pandemonium. Old Master Zhang hired a new caregiver, but unfamiliar with her quirks, the woman floundered helplessly. When I returned, Zhang Yue had become considerably thinner. Her chin had sharpened visibly. Upon seeing me, she furrowed her brows and coldly turned her head away. "HMPH, she said. "Why come back? Didn't you want to live?" She glared at me. "I hate you." Liar. During my travels, Old Master Zhang had found my landlord and spoken to them afterward. The landlord refused to renew my apartment lease. So, I hauled my luggage back. Watching my suitcase in my hand, Zhang Yue let out a low snort. "The Gu family doesn't want you. Nowhere else to go, huh? Had to crawl back?" I said nothing, silently carrying my bags to our room. As I turned my back, though, I caught her lips curving faintly upward. Her mood seemingly brightened. She didn't know why I'd truly returned. Even if that apartment had been taken from me, I could have rented another place. Hell, I could have left this city altogether and started fresh somewhere new. Old Master Zhang and I spoke extensively over the phone. I told him I'd researched marriage law. First, I'd file for divorce if it failed initially. Fine. Then I'd live separately from Zhang Yue for a year before suing again. Legally, the second attempt would succeed. He asked why I insisted on divorce when I'd get nothing financially. True, Old Master Zhang was shrewd. Before our wedding, he'd made both me and Zhang Yue sign a prenuptial agreement stipulating all her assets were premarital property, including her studio. In a divorce, I'd walk away with practically nothing. But still, I wanted out. Our marital pact had sheltered me for 5 years. I'd cared for her just as long. We were even. Yet, on the other end of the line, Old Master Zhang fell silent for a very long time. Just as I thought he'd hang up, he finally spoke. "I've hired a new caregiver. She doesn't know how to tend to Zhang Yue properly. You look after her for another month while training her. As payment, I won't oppose your divorce and I'll give you an extra $1 million. The offer was too generous to refuse. So Zhang Yue never learned this was my final month by her side. The housekeeper told me she hadn't been eating well while I was gone. That night, however, Zhang Yue finished 2 bowls of rice. She shot me a defiant humph, but praised the meal. I smiled gently, like old times. "Great job," I murmured. Her lips lifted into a lovely curve. Once she retreated to her study, I quickly instructed Sister He, the new caregiver, on how things worked. She loves compliments. Never criticize her openly. When she messes up, mention it later. Casually, Sister He pulled out a notebook and jotted everything down. I showed her the medicine cabinet, explaining dosages. This pill X times daily, always with water not too hot, round 40°C. Her hair accessories and jewelry were in the second drawer of the wardrobe. She drank warm milk before bed. I walked Sister He through all her routines. She listened intently. After my return, Zhang Yue's life settled back into order. No more episodes. Until one day, when Sister He brought her medicine, shattering glass exploded suddenly inside the room. Rushing over, I found chaos. Broken shards everywhere, scattered pills, Zhang Yue barefoot amidst it, blood seeping from a cut on her foot, unnoticed by her. She pointed trembling at Sister He, voice thick with panic. Why her? Why not you? This is your job. Why'd they replace you? Gripping my sleeve, she shook her head frantically. I don't want anyone else. Only you. Her emotions surged fast and receded quicker still. After watching her swallow the medicine I gave her, I asked softly, why me? She whispered, when it's not you. I get scared. My voice softened further. Scared of what? That you'll hand me over to someone else, then leave. Abandon me. Her intuition was uncanny. I was transitioning care to Sister He, still holding my sleeve. She pleaded, stay. Promise you won't switch people. Promise you won't leave. Knowing her stubborn streak, telling her the truth now would trigger chaos. To spare myself weeks of calming her down, I met her gaze directly and lied. Fine, I promise. I won't leave. No one else. Just half a month left anyway. What harm in giving her meds a little longer? Relief softened her face. She smiled contentedly. She didn't notice the blood still dripping down her leg, or Sister He's pitying stare. Everyone knew I was leaving soon. Only her remained blissfully unaware. At noon that day, I saw Lu Chong again. He stood at the villa gate, staring up at the study's floor-to-ceiling window where Zhang Yue sat playing piano, head bowed over the keys. After hesitating a while, he didn't approach her. Instead, he sought me out. Handing me a yellowed sheet of sheet music, he said, she's been looking everywhere for this piece. Could you give it to her? I paused. She's right upstairs. Why not give it to her yourself? No. Lu Chong shook his head, a bitter smile gracing the corner of his lips. He didn't want to see me anymore. It was only then that I realized how often he used to visit the Zhang household every few days without fail, but lately, he'd vanished entirely. Even the ring he'd given Zhang Yue had disappeared. Mr. Gu, Lu Chong whispered, interrupting my thoughts. He asked, you can tell I like Zhang Yue, right? I nodded. How could I miss it? At the music festival when we first met, everyone else was in groups, but she stood alone, starkly out of place. My eyes found her instantly, her gaze so focused while listening to the music, her eyes brighter than flickering fireflies. I've forgotten what piece was playing that day. I was too busy staring at her. When I learned her phone had died, I seized the chance to offer her a ride home. I'm not stupid. After just 2 sentences with her, I knew she wasn't like others. Yet I found her utterly endearing, pure. Speaking of Zhang Yue, warmth bloomed in Lu Chong's eyes. After you left, old man Zhang contacted me, said you were fighting for a divorce. Honestly, that news thrilled me. I always believed you and Zhang Yue belonged to different worlds. She lived in her art, while your vision stopped at practicality. We share the same idols, love the same genres. We could talk music endlessly. I suit her better. I even encouraged her to divorce you. Told her I'd take care of her. He paused. But do you know what happened next? Lu Chong stood at the villa gate, recounting everything under the open sky. When I invited him inside, he glanced upstairs at Zhang Yue and declined. After leaving, he'd stayed with her for days. In the study, they discussed music. Outside it, she spoke of me. He baked her a strawberry cake. She hesitated, then said softly, he loves strawberries. Always saves the sweet ones for me. On the couch lay a row of dolls. He bought these. She'd explained. They'd named each one together. Her bedroom window displayed countless photos of them. Try as he might, he couldn't count them all. His voice dropped. What hurt most? She played a chord and said it sounded like you. She'd never been apart from you this long. She misses you. I admitted I'd known nothing of this. Then why? My throat tightened. Why did she suddenly refuse to see him? A realization dawned slowly. All this time, beyond music, they'd never touched. Never shared anything beyond notes. That night, desperate to prove her feelings, he leaned in, pressing her shoulders, kissing her. She'd once called being with me repulsive. Surely kissing him would mean something. But her reaction? Disbelief, panic, disgust. Words failed him. She threw my hands off, kicked me out, red-faced, trembling. She spat. I thought you were different. Turns out you're just another lowlife. Never come back. His eyes dimmed. As I left, she sat among those dolls, murmuring your name. He exhaled sharply, gazing toward the glass window separating them. When I lusted after a married woman, I told myself she didn't love you, that you trapped her with marriage, that the unloved party isn't the third wheel. But now, his voice cracked. I still love her, but I know it's impossible. He handed me sheet music. Give this to her. Took years to find. At the Zhang gate, he stood over an hour. She never looked down. When he finally walked away, slow and heavy, he never got the glance he craved. Recently, Zhang Yue clings to me, chattering even when there's nothing to say. She asked where I'd been those 2 weeks gone. I showed photos. Kangshan fruit brooches at March Street Market, tie-dye crafts, plant prints, woodblock carvings. You'd adore these, I said. Told her about mushroom hunting in mountain villages, creekside baskets brimming with bounty. My voice ran wild, usually reserved, yet with her, words spilled unchecked. She listened, chin propped on palms, smiling. Go on, she urged. Only when I faltered did she speak. Do you love traveling so much? Without hesitation. Yes, but adding quickly, though, home feels safer. Still, worth trying. She blinked. Trying what? Fingering the clay cat I'd made, she fell silent. Lately, she skips her studio, preferring home. Today, her voice called from the study. Jincheng, wary last time ended badly. I stayed put by the door. She grabbed the sleeve of my shirt and led me into the study. From now on, you can come in here. No one else is allowed, only you. She had a gift for me. The study was spacious, with a desk and chair aside from a white grand piano. That day, Zhang Yue wore a pristine white gown, her hair elegantly coiled, a style she reserved only for performances. Sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, bathing her in golden light. Her silhouette glowed like a halo, her hair tipped with a soft gilded hue, and her butterfly-like eyelashes fluttered gently. Her fingers danced across the keys, spilling notes into the air. Some people are tone-deaf, like me. I knew nothing of legato or dynamics. All I understood was that the music cascaded layer upon layer, tender yet vast, like dense waves surging through an early spring sea, echoing over mist-shrouded peaks. Calling it romantic felt too cliché. Calling it profound felt too heavy. I listened quietly until the final note faded. She looked up at me, her eyes searching. Did it sound good? I nodded earnestly, applauding from the heart. Beautiful, I said. It's just a draft, she murmured, gesturing to a thick stack of sheet music. Revise it again. It'll get better. Enthralled by the piece, I asked its name. After a hesitant pause, she spoke softly. I haven't decided yet. It's for you. Your birthday's coming up soon. It's your gift. I froze, stunned that she'd crafted something so intimate. She laughed lightly, then shifted abruptly. Do you know why I got sick? When I'd asked old Master Zhang earlier, he'd blamed negligent care from our nanny. But now, Zhang Yue shook her head. It wasn't her fault. It was my parents. My brow furrowed. Silence stretched before she began, her voice trembling as if recounting each word drained her strength. My father pursued my mother relentlessly before she agreed to marry him. 2 years later, she caught him cheating. First time, she raged. He begged forgiveness on his knees, promised change, but there were second, third, fourth times. I even walked in on him once. Disgusting. She couldn't bear it anymore. We moved out. He tracked her down, pleaded for reconciliation. She softened, returned home. Only then did she discover he'd never stopped seeing that woman. Worse, when he came begging, he brought her along. While Mom tucked me into bed here, he was sleeping with her next door. Her knuckles whitened as she gripped her sleeve, fighting back nausea. That night, in some stranger's city, my mother stabbed him. He fought back, choking her. I was locked on the balcony, pounding the door helpless. When I woke, they were both gone, cold, dead. I stood frozen. This beauty-wrenching truth contradicted every polished narrative I'd heard. How Master Zhang had defied his family to marry ordinary Zhang Mu. Won her hand after 4 years of devotion. How they'd seemed blissfully in love until her sudden heart attack during a trip. Him following her in suicide. A fairy tale masking brutality. And 6-year-old Zhang Yue had witnessed it all, her mind shattered afterward. Now I understood her terror of enclosed spaces, her visceral distrust of intimacy. Telling you this, she whispered beside me, her palm slowly pressing against mine, is showing you all of me. Her touch felt scaldingly real. I know I'm broken, she continued, voice steadying with effort, but I'm learning to heal. You can enter the study whenever. Hold my hand, I won't pull away. I'll take my meds. Won't snap at you. Her gaze locked onto mine, raw in offering, as if laying her soul bare. For the first time, I felt the warmth of her skin beneath mine. In the softened light, Her voice turned almost shy. Jin Chung, let's go somewhere new. When we come back, celebrate your birthday. She pulled out a map, pointing excitedly at destinations. Over the next days, we planned relentlessly, itineraries crammed with activities, meals pre-selected down to breakfast. She pored over travel bloggers' photos and dug out a camera. Take pictures of me. She smiled. Like those. We chose Yulin Ba. On the plane, her anxiety spiked sharply, the confinement triggering flashbacks to that balcony. Like during our high-speed rail ride, she grew restless, clinging to my arm. If it gets too much, I offered, we'll turn back. Don't push yourself. She pressed her lips together, shaking her head. No, I want this. Won't ruin your fun. Before departing, I called old Master Zhang about the trip. He paused. Handover with sister he complete. With less than a week left before my departure, any delay would mean leaving post-trip. All settled. I confirmed. He sighed approval. Good. Take her sightseeing. Together, we mapped our Inner Mongolia adventure. Methodical as ever, she scheduled every hour, even listing daily meals. Staring at tourist photos, she retrieved a camera. Capture me like that, she insisted. Our destination, Yulin Ba. When a plane took off, she held my hand, her palms oozing fine sweat. Midway through the flight, we encountered a severe convective storm, causing violent turbulence. Jian Yue kept her eyes shut the entire time, appearing to rest them, but her forehead, damp with sweat, and her death grip on my hand betrayed her true state. She was terrified. After landing in Chifeng, a 4-hour car ride awaited us. Jiang Yue remained hypervigilant throughout. The unfamiliar climate and environment amplified her usual anxiety and sensitivity. I tried my best to soothe her all along the way. She forced a slight smile, lips curving upwards. Don't worry, Jin Chung, I'm fine. I naively believed her. Once we reached the hotel suite, I took a hot shower first. When I emerged, I found her crouched in the corner, her whole body trembling slightly. Seeing me, she took 2 deep breaths, rummaged frantically through her luggage, popped 2 calming pills into her mouth, and before I could speak, pretended nothing was wrong as she stood up. My turn to wash now. Really, I'm okay. Don't worry. That night, she tossed and turned for a long time, seemingly unable to sleep. For years, she hadn't slept anywhere except her bed in that villa. She must have been suffering from stranger bed syndrome. Keeping my voice low, I asked, should I tell you a bedtime story? No need, she replied. I'm almost asleep. You should get some rest too. Tomorrow, we'll see the grasslands together. Later, she lay perfectly still, silent, as if truly asleep. But the next morning, the dark smudges under her eyes revealed the truth. She hadn't slept well at all. She barely touched her food, frequently popping pills into her mouth. Though I had eagerly anticipated seeing the vast prairie, witnessing her decline shifted my focus entirely onto her. I didn't even catch the morning mist over Princess Lake. Whatever happens, I brought her out here, and I must bring her back safely. Pointing towards the distant, rolling hills, she said, don't look at me. Look over there. Go stand there. I'll take your picture. But when the camera captured her, her entire body shook uncontrollably. Other tourists glanced at her, murmuring softly, my goodness, how pale she looks, like altitude sickness. But it's barely above sea level here. Jian Yue looked at me, trying to explain, just getting used to it. It's nothing. Switching places, she insisted I be in the photo instead. Many shots were taken, yet none satisfied her. No, not like this, she muttered. When I asked what was wrong, she didn't answer, twisting her sleeve into a tight rope instead. An elderly man passing by shook his head sadly. Young people these days, obsessed with photos. Partner looks dreadful, won't take her to the hospital, just keep snapping pictures. Humiliated, Jian Yue dropped her gaze to her shoelaces, took a sharp breath. Jin Chung, let's walk for now. Take photos later. We walked side by side across the boundless steppe. Nearby couples laughed, running carefree against the wind. Watching their retreating figures, I sighed quietly. She tried quickening her pace, attempting to run alongside me, but the unfamiliar surroundings filled her with caution. She couldn't embrace the freedom ordinary people felt here. Finally, she admitted, Jin Chung, why don't you run ahead? I'll record it for you. No need, I replied. We'll walk slowly together. Along the path were many neatly rolled haystacks. Cattle and sheep passed close by. Peace settled around us, except for Jiang Yue's silence. A bitter smile touched her lips briefly. Just 3 days into our trip, she visibly shrank, becoming gaunt and haggard. If travel was meant to recharge me, for her, it was torture. Suppressed emotions inevitably erupt. One day, while I tested riding a horse, Jiang Yue stood frozen, holding the camera pointed at me. The horse gradually increased its pace from a walk to a gentle canter. Click, click. The shutter sounded repeatedly. Lost in the exhilarating rush of speed, I closed my eyes. Then, shattered the moment, came a piercing scream ripped through the air. Instantly alert, I recognized it. Zhang Yue's voice. She was having an episode. It started because of a quarreling couple nearby. For some reason, they were shouting fiercely. The man threatened to beat her later. She yelled back she'd stab him if he left. Their vicious words drove others away, but Zhang Yue slowly turned her head, staring intently. As their fight escalated, her breathing grew heavier, deeper. Perhaps days of intense stress, perhaps triggering buried trauma. When the man shoved the woman hard onto the ground, Zhang Yue lunged forward to block him, and then her breakdown began. During these episodes, she loses all control over her emotions. I stayed beside her, repeating soothing words over and over, until sunset finally brought calm. Sitting on the grass, knees hugged tight, her voice hollow with guilt. Sorry, worried you, was coming away with me. Terrible for you. Gently shaking my head, I said, no, not terrible. Her eyes searched mine. But you weren't happy. Remembering photos from her Dali trip flashed in my mind. She'd looked so vibrantly alive there. Since returning home, never that happy again. My hope had been this trip might lift her spirits. Yet in my alienness here, she looked anything but joyful. That one photo, she whispered brokenly, when you were riding. Finally got one. Good shot. Then, I broke down. Her voice cracked. I'm useless. Dragging you on vacation. How can you relax? Every word held undeniable truth. I had no counter-argument. Sitting beside her on the grass, watching the sinking sun vanish beyond the horizon. Its last light caught her eyes, dark pools flecked with fractured sparks, fading fast. Hoarsely, she confessed, Jin Chang, I'm truly awful. Night fell completely. Standing up, brushing grass off my clothes, I offered gently, don't think like that. We booked our return flight tomorrow anyway. The trip ends soon. Tomorrow we fly back. The day after is my birthday. The day after that, I get my million. Following me back, dejected and silent, she maintained that heavy quiet even during the return journey, occasionally tapping instructions into her phone. Only upon reaching home did visible relief wash over her. Her breathing steadied considerably. Hesitating long moments before sleep, she finally murmured, good night, Jin Chang. Tomorrow, I have a new birthday gift for you. Anticipating something conventional, a song, an object instead, the next day found her standing outside my door in a dress. Jin Chang, let's go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. File for divorce. Zhang Yue possesses an obsessive nature. Once decided, she never wavers. After her initial refusal to divorce, I'd mentally prepared myself for a lengthy, contentious legal battle, lasting a year or two. Never expecting this sudden reversal. Unable to hide my shock, I asked why. Calmly, terribly calm, she answered, you weren't happy. I won't weigh you down anymore. Saying this, she attempted a light tone, forcing a brittle smile that couldn't hide the raw crimson flooding her eyes beneath the surface. Jin Chang, I'm slow, stubborn. Didn't even realize I loved you until you were gone. Dark thoughts consumed me. Wanted to chain you to me by any means necessary. But seeing you unhappy beside me, truly, utterly unhappy, I've held you back long enough. I won't make you suffer longer. So, I'm letting go. This was the first time I ever saw her cry. Somehow, I'd imagined someone like her, impervious to tears. But sitting in the car headed to the bureau, scalding tears landed on my palm relentless as spring rain. Pulling over outside the Civil Affairs Bureau, she wiped her face roughly with the back of her hand, meeting my eyes with red-rimmed ones stretched into a pained smile. Jin Chang, my gift for your 27th birthday is freedom. The 30-day divorce cooling-off period followed. During those weeks, Elder Zhang attempted intervention. He pleaded, now that Yue understands her feelings for you, must you divorce? Stay. Your life would be better. Shaking my head firmly. No, he struggled to comprehend. She and Lu Chang, nothing happened between them, and she does love you now. Her feelings just came late. Will you really abandon her? Still shaking my head. No, once freedom takes root, willing enslavement becomes impossible. My decision caused an uproar within the Zhang family. My own father ranted angrily over the phone for ages. Lady Gu scolded harshly. They reminded me owed allegiance. Without the Zhangs selecting me, they'd have kicked me out after coming of age. Oughtn't I be grateful? Without them funding my university tuition, comfortable life, clothes, food assured. Why this ungrateful defiance? Merely because she strayed briefly? Didn't I tolerate mother's 3 young lovers? What grievance did I harbor? His final threat, sever all ties permanently. 30 days later, we returned to the Civil Affairs Bureau together and collected our our divorce certificates. Jin Cheng, she said softly, gazing at the distant horizon, go farther, climb higher mountains, explore broader horizons, and may I see you again someday? Nodding agreement. Of course, every year on my birthday, you'll be invited. Zhang Yue sighed deeply, finally offering a genuine, albeit melancholic, smile. 1,000 unspoken words distilled into 3 simple ones. Take care, Jin Cheng.